Hello students, in this video we're going to work on circles. This video is called same but different. Why is that so? Because the two problem sums we're going to work in this video needs to use the same concepts. However, the questions are phrased differently. So do get ready a pen and some papers and practice along with me. These are the concepts that you need to equate yourself with as shown on the screen. You need to find the equations of the circle using the standard form and the general form. Other concepts such as the radius is perpendicular to the chord or bisects the chord. What is a chord? A chord is a line where the two endpoints touches the circumference of the circle. So in the example shown on the screen, AB is a chord. The longest chord will be the diameter. Another concept that you need to take note is the tangent is perpendicular to radius. So the line that's highlighted CE is actually a normal line at point E because it is perpendicular to the chord AB. And all normal lines will pass through the center of the circle. Let's look at the first question. The first question is we have a circle, and on this circle with a point 5, 5, and the tangent line passes through this point, also passes through the origin. And then we have a second line, which is given to be 3y equals to x plus 2. And this second line is a normal line to the circle. Part I, showing all your working, find the equations of the circle. So to find the equations of the circle, there are two things that are needed here. First of all, the center of the circle, and secondly, the radius of the circle. Let's start off by having a sketch of the diagram. So we have a circle, we have a tangent line that passes through the point 5, 5 and the origin. And we're going to label the center of the circle point C. And then the normal line, 3y equals to x plus 2, can be rewritten as 1/3 x plus 2/3. So remember that all normal lines will pass through the center of the circle. Therefore, this 3y equals to x plus 2 will pass through point C. As with all tangent lines, we are able to draw a normal line, which is perpendicular to the tangent. And this tangent line that we've just drawn, we're going to call it L1. From the diagram, we can clearly see that the center of the circle point C is the intersection point of the line y equals to 1/3 x plus 2/3 and the green normal line L1. So the next thing we need to do is to find the equations of L1. To find the equations of L1, we will need the gradient. And to find the gradient of this normal line, we can use the gradient of the tangent line, which is 1. So using m1 times m2 equals to -1, we can find the gradient of L1 to be -1. And therefore, the equations of L1 can be found using y minus y1 equals to gradient bracket x minus x1, where your x1, y1 is the point on the line, which happens to be 5, 5. So from there, we're going to solve these two equations simultaneously. To find the x coordinate. After finding the value of x, we can substitute into either equation 1 or 2 to find the y coordinates. So therefore, the center of the circle is 7, 3. And we can find the radius using the center and also 0.5, 5, using the distance formula. So the radius is square root 8. And with all this information, we can plug into the standard form. Where 8, B is a center, which we have found it to be 7, 3, and the radius is square root 8. So with that, we can find the equations of the circle to be bracket x minus 7 close bracket squared plus y minus 3 close bracket square equals to 8, because square of square root 8 will give you 8. So this is how we do part I. To do part 2, we are asked to find the coordinates of the point on the circle which is nearest to the x-axis. So since we've already found the center of the circle and the radius, we can do a rough sketch of the diagram. The key thing here is the point must be nearest to the x-axis. So if you look at the diagram, which point do you think is nearest to the x-axis? Is it here, 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 here? Which point? Yes, the point that's nearer to the x-axis will be the lowest point on the circle. And this lowest point actually passes through the line of symmetry of the circle. So this is the point that we need to find. And this point shares the same x-coordinate of the center of the circle. So we have to find the vertical distance. So how do we do it? Yes, the radius is square root 8. And from here to here, we know that it's 3 units. Why 3 units? Because the x-coordinate of your point C is 3. So therefore, the distance that is this distance here will be 3 minus square root 8. And we need to simplify square root 8 using surds, because square root 8 will be square root 4 times 2, and that can be further simplified into square root 4 times square root 2. Square root 4 is 2, so that gives us 2 square root 2. The question requires us to find the coordinates of the point, so we have to answer to the question asked. So this is how we solve part 2. Let's look at question 2. Question 2, we're given the equations of the circle to be x squared plus y squared minus 16x minus 2y plus 40 equals to 0. There are 3 parts to the question. First part requires us to find the radius and coordinates of the center of the circle. Let's write down the general form, which is x squared plus y squared plus 2gx plus 2fy plus c equals to 0. Let's do a comparison. 2gx equals to negative 16x. We can find g to be negative 8. 2fy is equals to negative 2y. We can find f to be negative 1. And we can find the radius using the formula as shown on the screen. So therefore, the coordinates of the center of the circle will be 8, 1. And the radius will be 5 units. So this is how we do part A. Let's look at part B. So for part B, we're asked to find the shortest distance of the center of the circle from the line y equals to 2x. And hence explained why the circle does not intersect the line y equals to 2x. Since we've found the center of the circle to be 8, 1, and also the radius of the circle, we can do a rough sketch of how the circle will look like. Let's also draw the line y equals to 2x. So the shortest distance of the center of the circle from the line y equals to x will be the perpendicular distance. Yes, the perpendicular distance from the center of the circle to the line y equals to 2x. So that is actually the normal line. Remember, all normal lines will pass through the center of the circle. And that is the point that we need to find. right? So since the gradient of your tangent line is 2, so the gradient of this normal line will be -1 divided by 2. That gives you -half, as shown here. And we can find the equations of this normal line using point 8, 1. Right. And from the diagram, we can see that the particular point here, which I need to find, is the intersection point of the line y equals to 2x and y equals -half x plus 5. So we solve these two equations simultaneously. We should be able to find the x coordinate and the y coordinate. Right, so to find the shortest distance, we will have to use the distance formula. And that comes out to be 6.71 units. Right, and you can clearly see that this distance here, 6.71 units, it's more than 5. 5 is the radius of the circle. So therefore, your line y equals to 2x lies outside the circle, and hence the line does not intersect the circle. Let's look at part C. For part C, we asked to find the coordinates of D. And D is a point that lies on the circle. There's another point C also given, 11,5, lies on the circle too. Right, and we are told that CD is a diameter. So diameter, the concept involved here is that it will pass through the center of the circle. And that makes the center of the circle the midpoint of CD. So we're going to use the formula to find midpoint, which is x1 plus y1 divided by 2, x2 plus y2 divided by 2 to find the midpoint. So that will be x plus 11 divided by 2 equals to the center of the circle 8. And that gives us x to be 5, and y plus 5 divided by 2 to gives you a y coordinate of the center of the circle. So therefore, your point, the coordinates of D would be 5, -3. So this is the end of this video on circles, same but different. Happy learning.